Hey guys, Sundown Rider here with my review for Nanatsu no Taizai 236 Rendezvous with Despair. Now, I just want to say before we get into this review completely that the last 10, 15, I think, yeah, it's been about 10, 15 chapters of Nanatsu no Taizai have been really good, especially the last 5 to 7 chapters. They've been really, really good. And they've all just been within the 7 to 10 range on a 10 scale. So they've just been really good, and I've enjoyed them, and I'm pretty sure a lot of the fans have enjoyed it as well. What we've seen between Escanor, Meliodas, the commandments, and everything like that, and what we've seen from Elizabeth and Diane and all these guys, even Elaine, everything's been dope. So I've really enjoyed reading this manga over the course of it, and over these last few chapters as well. It's just been really good. So let's get in depth with this review, because this review was actually this chapter was actually quite. There were quite a few things I'd like to talk about. And I'm gonna go through it chronologically. I think there weren't any really big points. There was one quite big point, but there weren't any really big points that we really need to discuss first. So I'll just go from the beginning. So I really enjoyed the new dynamic we were presented with, and we have been presented with over these last couple chapters now, because of the two masters that have escaped the sealing of the seal of the goddess clan, and that's Cusack and Chandler. I mentioned last chapter they both might be from the Six Black Knights of the Demon Clan, and I'm still thinking that they give off that vibe of they're both extremely close with their students, for starters. So the Cusack is really, really close with Zeldaris, and same with Chandler. They're both really close with both Zeldaris and Meliodas respectively, and they both are. It was a really weird thing, but they're both very overprotective of both Zeldaris and Meliodas. Now, it's really weird seeing that, considering both Zeldaris and Meliodas are feared in their own right. You wouldn't ever expect them to have been you wouldn't expect their masters to be overprotective of them, because they're both powerhouses themselves. So it was a really nice and kind of weird thing to see. I really enjoyed that. It's quite nice. But the thing that really troubles me about these two characters, the two masters, and like I say, the possible two Black Knights, is that they give off this really easygoing vibe, a bit like Estarossa. We'll come on to him later, and that's usually a telltale sign of someone who's a strong mofo. That's usually a telltale sign. If someone's an easygoing character in a manga, and they're really easygoing, and they're talking to the main character like they own some shit, then they are usually pretty strong. And I mean, and then you see Chandler, he's just talking, and his spit is corrosive as hell, and you're just like, what the hell? What is this guy? So even his spit is freaking corrosive. So I don't know what these guys are gonna be, but they're gonna be dope, whatever they are. We find out in this chapter that Cusack is called a napping reaper. That's a new one. I've not ever heard of a napping reaper, but it sounds pretty cool, And once again, it's that whole easygoing vibe thing, a napping reaper. It's like, really, does he? And the whole reaper thing, the Demon Clan, death, all that type of stuff is. We'll see how that goes, but he could be an extremely, extremely formidable character. And like I said, if he's one of the Six Black Knights, chances are he's gonna be formidable. And then Chandler is called the pacifier fiend. I have no idea what that's going to entail, whether it's to do with his whole crybaby attitude, or whether it's to do with the actual ability to pacify. I'm not too sure exactly what he's going to do, but he also seems a bit like a beast. Then we come on to, let's go more in depth into Cusack, because we got a bit more of him this chapter in terms of just his thoughts and his character progression. But he seems to have or share Zeldaris' distaste for Meliodas in general, i.e. he doesn't call Meliodas Lord or Prince. He always refers to Zeldaris as Prince Zeldaris, alright? And he views Zeldaris as the next in line for kingship, or is that what it's called, kingship? Yeah, for kingship of the Demon Clan. So but his distaste for Meliodas is a bit weird, but when you considering he's the one that taught Meliodas, you can kind of understand how he thinks that. But he also has a weird kind of issue with Estarossa, and he has the same issue with both Meliodas and Estarossa, which is he can't gauge what either of them are thinking at any moment. They're both kind of weird. They're both kind of people who are hard to read, and he can't understand them. So he doesn't seem to like that. He seems to be that person that knows who he's talking to and knows what their responses will be and things like that. So he doesn't really like that he can't do that with them. They're both completely random. So he doesn't like that. But he also shares Zeldris's opinions on the whole rescue Meliodas thing, in the sense that Meliodas is a traitor. Why the hell are we rescuing him? And he also views Zeldris, as I said before. He thinks he would make a better Demon King. He's like, why are we rescuing Meliodas when we've got the next Demon King here? There's no point in rescuing Meliodas if the next Demon King is right with me. So what are we doing? We're just wasting our time. But obviously he has to still be polite about it, because this is the Demon King's son. And he also has this kind of warm moment where he's like, when he's smiling and he's like, the Demon King still views Meliodas as his son. That's quite nice. And I was like, he seems to be, he might be a parent, or he's just, or he visualizes Zeldris as his son. And I wanted to get onto that. Zeldris and Meliodas, really, throughout this chapter, we get that whole vibe of Cusack and Chandler, just seeing them as their adoptive kids. You know, they trained them. They probably had a lot of hours with them, and they just kind of view them as their own children almost. Maybe the Demon King didn't spend much time with Meliodas, Zeldris, and Estarossa. We don't know. And then we actually get a nice bit of information from Cusack, who says that Estarossa may actually be stronger than Zeldris. He's just thinking in his head about how he can't read Estarossa, and he's like, I don't really like him. He gives me a really weird feeling. And then he goes, actually, he might actually be stronger than Zeldris, but I don't like him as a man. So that's really impressive, considering that we're not sure what form of Zeldris he's talking about, or which form of Zeldris he's talking about, whether he's talking about Zeldris in his Demon King representative form, where he's utilizing the power of the Demon King, or is he just talking as their base forms. Estarossa is more powerful than Zeldris. I'm assuming he means that Estarossa could tank, or maybe could at least put up a fight with Zeldris in their base states. But now that the other thing is, now that Estarossa knows the power of the sins, actually wait, we'll come on to that. We'll come on to that later. So then we come to Chandler again, who completely blames Elizabeth for the fact that Meliodas went AWOL and he started the whole holy war thing like 3,000 years ago. And then we come on to what was for me one of the best parts of the chapter was, I loved the fact that Estarossa regained consciousness in this chapter. Nakaba didn't do the whole thing of, oh my god, Estarossa's in a coma, he's gonna take like 20 chapters to come back. No, we find out like we found out last chapter Estarossa was in a coma. This chapter he wakes up and he's like, hey man, what you guys plotting, man? And I was like, yeah, this is good. There's no waste in 7 Deadly Sins, or there's very little waste in 7 Deadly Sins, and I like that. And the fact that Estarossa woke up, and as usual his whole vibe is weird. He's like, oh, what are you guys plotting? It sounds fun, you know. And the things that are weird with Estarossa are his what seems to be genuine love for Meliodas, whereas all the other demons seem to really hate Meliodas, apart from now Chandler. Chandler being the kind of the next in line father figure for Meliodas, we assume. And then his whole chill attitude when the 10 Commandments first escaped. His appearance, in terms of his appearance, matches almost identically the wanted poster for Meliodas. Why was that? And then also his appearance in Elizabeth's dream. And we don't know really much about Estarossa, and he seems to be just a wild card at the moment. We don't really know anything about him, and he could be a major player. And everyone's thinking, especially on Reddit, I'm thinking, and a lot of other people thinking, that Estarossa may just defect a little bit. He may defect. We'll see what happens, but he is one to keep an eye on. And then the other point I wanted to make earlier was, maybe now that Estarossa knows the power of the sins, he might be able to show us something new. But I'm not too sure whether he's going to be that guy who wants to get rid of the sins, or maybe he's going to comply a bit with them. So we'll see how that goes. There's an individual also with a heart next to the recovering Estarossa. He's in that like demon capsule thing with water all over him, and he's just healing there. He seems to be just juicing up something, and he's healing really well. But there's an individual stood next to that kind of open casket looking thing, and it has a heart shaped thing in like a heart right next to their head. And Cusack and Chandler came back, and they're both teachers of two of the Demon the Demon King's kids. So maybe Estarossa has a teacher as well, and this isn't a far-fetched thing. Maybe he does have a teacher. So has his teacher also escaped the seal? That's not exactly. You can't really deny or reject that idea, considering two of them have come out. And if it is his teacher, chances are that's another Black Knight there, by the way. So 3 of the 6 Black Knights, that would be that would be really hard for the Sins to deal with in general. Even Arthur and them, now that would be too much to deal with, and that would really make the whole story more exciting because we wouldn't know which way it would go. So it could be Esteros' teacher, just throwing that out there. And then the other thing is it a chick? It might be a woman, and we haven't really seen too many female demons. I don't think we've seen Derriere, Melisula. I think Grey Road was a chick. Merlin may be a demon. We don't know really too much, but I don't think we've actually seen too many demonic women. So it would be cool if his teacher was a woman, because then that would have a whole different there'd be a whole different kind of interaction between Esterossa and his female teacher and the other 2 teachers and their kids and their students. It would be a bit concerning if his teacher was a dude and then he's got a heart next to him. You kind of wonder how Esterossa grew up. But then what would be even more concerning is the fact that we haven't seen, if there's a demon king, chances are there was a demon queen. And with 3 kids, the demon king has 3 kids: Meliodas, Esterossa, and Zeldaris in order. So chances are there was a demon queen. And it could be that the person beside his open casket looking thing is the demon queen, is the mother of Meliodas, Esterossa, and Zeldaris. But I'm not too convinced about that theory myself, even having put it forward, because if the demon queen was out, that would suggest a whole bunch of other higher level demons would have busted out as well, because the demon queen would have had to have been quite powerful in and of herself. So yeah, theorize about that, but let me know what you guys think. So then the scene between the Sins, this is kind of wrapping up the chapter. The scene between the Sins it was kind of boring until the freaking night set in, and it was randomly midday, and we always knew it was going to be Chandler because he flew off to go and see Meliodas. And basically what it is his magic is so vast that he blacked out the sky with his power. The other thing was Chandler recognizes Elizabeth, but she doesn't recognize him. Now, whether this was weird to you or not, it could be debated, but for me it was alright, because it makes sense that every demon would know, or most demons would know, who Elizabeth was, considering she took from them the next demon king. But she wouldn't know about most demons, if you get me. And he's pissed off, and he's gonna kick ass. And I just hope that Nakaba has planned this well, because Chandler can't get beat because of his hype. He's been hyped too about just the fact that Zeldaris acknowledges these 2 as like, yo, you 2 are, you 2 are as strong, or you 2 are as good as having 9 of the commandments with me. Having said that, and then him saying in this chapter, when Chandler went to go rescue Meliodas, he's like, oh yeah, Chandler is the best possible person to go rescue Meliodas. Having said all of this, you can't have Chandler just getting beat. You can't have him get beat. The Sins just battled against Melisula and all that shit, so they should be weakened at least weakened. So I think this should be an easy win for Chandler, but it can't be so easy. See, that's the thing. I think it should be a really easy win for Chandler, but then he would make the Sins look overwhelmingly weak, and that would mean they don't stand a chance later on. If they're made to look overwhelmingly weak here, they'd have to really gain power at a much faster rate than what would be natural, or what would be good storytelling. So I'm not sure how this is going to play out. I really want Chandler to look strong and totally make these guys look like fools, but they can't look so foolish as in they need another power up where they're going to get like 10 times the power of the commandments or some shit, because they're already kicking the shit out of the commandments. So if their power escalates once again at like triple speed, they're going to be kicking the shit out of the commandments like it was nothing. And I know these guys were selected to take out the commandments in general, but that would just be too easy. The commandments were meant to have been the main antagonists for this arc. So yeah, that was the whole chapter. The best parts obviously being the whole thing with the interaction between Cusack, Chandler, and Zeldaris, and then having Chandler go and rescue Meliodas by his wands. Cusack, and finding out more about him as a person. Just he seems to be a lot like Zeldaris, just less serious. And then seeing Esterossa, our boy, coming back from a coma, and he seems to be fine. He seems to be a really tough individual, and I just hope that he wasn't at his strongest point when he was fighting Escanor because he was cocky, or he was looking down on everyone. He didn't use his full power. So I'm hoping there was something like that, and I'm hoping he has something new to show us now that he's back and now that he's prepared. So let me know what you guys thought. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I will see you guys in a bit.